What's going on, everyone? It's Greeny here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're doing something a little bit different. We're catching up with one of my friends in Web3. His name is NFT Nate. You can follow him on all of his social links down below. In the video, we discuss market trends, different narratives that we think are going to play out, and where we think the market is heading over the next couple of months. If you like my content, subscribe to me down below, hit that notification bell so you stay up to date with my daily crypto videos. I'm currently running a private sale on my private alpha group, so if that is something you're interested in, please reach out to me over DMs on Twitter. We've accumulated over 50x over the last 2 weeks, and it was 200x in the last month. So if that is something you're interested in, please reach out. Onto the video.
So the market's absolutely pumping and hella frothy right now. Got Greeny here. We're going to chat about the markets, what's going on, what's happening, and what some of the plays are.
So at the moment, guys, essentially what I've been looking at is just how sort of where we are in the cycle in comparison to the previous two cycles. So I wrote a post earlier today on Twitter. If you actually have a look at this, we are currently, so in 2023, we're currently very early when you consider it against 2015 to 2016, but also in the bear market of 2018 to 2020. So if you have a look here, way back in 2015, there was 742 days of accumulation. The breakout was similar to what we are seeing right now. So we saw a breakout here before the halving, but we then did see a 40% dump post halving. If you have a look in 2018 to 2020, this was by far the longest bear cycle that we saw. I did write here that it could have been due to the pandemic that was going on, but also it was 920 days. So literally nearly double, not quite, the current cycle that I will show you very shortly. But as you can see here, there was a post-dump cycle halving, as well, of 22%, whereas the previous one was 40%. So I do expect at some stage that post-halving, so that's in March next year, that we do see at least one more dip before we do pump up to all-time highs. So as you can see here, we have 588 days of accumulation during 2022 to 2023. So significantly lower than both previous cycles. So 160 days and nearly a whole year different to 2020. But I think the pandemic may have played a factor there for sure. But obviously the buying pressure of the ETFs, the institutions front running this information, but also retail front running this information are definitely the factors for probably why we've broken out early. And I do think this could be the cycle that we see mass adoption of crypto. And that's what I kind of allude to down the bottom here. But what I'm anticipating is that we do start to see a little bit of a dump soon. As you can see here, we have rallied. So this is just total crypto market cap here. And I will pull up the Bitcoin chart very shortly.
Just wait, hold up. See, yeah, it's still on the old tab.
Oh, yeah. So I got to share. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, cool.
So as you can see here, this is the total crypto market cap. So just obviously the live screening here. We broke out way back here in October. Haven't really stopped since. In my 8 years of crypto experience, what you want to see is healthy pullbacks and healthy retracements. So I would expect this sort of range. So as you can see here, we're starting to tag the bottom range of the previous sort of support last cycle. So I would start to see maybe this is a bit of resistance as we also approach the halving in March next year. To turn over back here, maybe retest this breakout zone, okay, around this $1.3 trillion level, and then maybe pump into the post-halving next year. Sort of similar with my Bitcoin chart. That's a CME chart. So there we go. So if I just remove this, so obviously I was tracking this on a shorter time frame. So we have pumped up to the 1.5 sort of range, trillion wise, but also up to the 42K range for Bitcoin. Same sort of thing, but slightly different. As you can see here, Bitcoin has actually gone above its previous sort of resistance zone. So we are in a bit of a no man's land. I would expect it to maybe hit this 47K level up here, and then maybe we see it turn over and then come back down and retest this breakout range, sort of around the mid 30s all the way down to like low 30s is probably where I would like to see Bitcoin go.
Yeah, because even if you have a look at the bottom, like sort of like from that bottom there, it just doesn't go straight. It goes up, down, up, down. It's going to pull back, and that's healthy. It's going to freak some people out. But it's like a lot of people, even myself, are just sitting on the sidelines, just going like, "Hey, I've got some capital. You don't want to be dumping into just fat green candles."
No, and I get messages every day. Hey, should I buy this pump? Hey, this is pumping. Is it going to pump more? And I'm like, no, man, just wait. Buy the red days. Buy the red days. ETH's obviously been a little bit more different. If I want to pull it up. Here we go. It's obviously been lagging a little bit. So I've got this short-term trade on. So it has been lagging. You can test that with the ETH versus Bitcoin chart as well. But I think ETH still maybe does perform. So this is the BTC versus
Yeah,
ETH.
I'm really just waiting for ETH because it's like it feels like it's lagging so much, and I'm just trying to think about previous cycles. Like, it really does feel like the one that you're not looking at and the one that you're not focusing on ends up just absolutely ripping when people do not like they literally go, cool, I'm all out of like I'm out of ETH, I'm going to rotate into Sol, I'm going to rotate into BTC. It's not moving, and that's when it runs up. Then people then go, oh, I'm going to rotate some of my bag back, and that's when you get a little bit of that juice come back in the market.
Yeah. 100%. And the cycles, they repeat in a similar way, not obviously the same way, but it does. Bitcoin pumps, then it goes to ETH and those top altcoins, and then it does go into the low caps and meme coins, the micro gems that we then trade in the future months for sure. This is, in a way, this is obviously lower high over like a whole year long period for ETH against its BTC pair. And I would love to see it hold this level here. But if it doesn't, this is because Bitcoin is going to outperform ETH, and it would probably tag this 4% level and then look to move back up, moving into 2024. Mid 2024 is what I'd be looking at there too.
Yeah, sweet. So those like the big ones, and I know that you've been stacking some. I'm gonna altcoins, but you go on ones like I know that you're going into Casper a bit. You dabble in I think Avalanche. You got like a bit of a bag. What do some of those plays look like, and why were those kind of on your radar, and why did you want to hit those up? Like, what was the upside from your side? Like, what was your kind of thought process with the upside that it was going to kind of hit?
So being my third cycle, I know that BTC is king. There's no doubt about that. It leads each cycle's charge to all-time highs. It brings in that capital interest into the crypto ecosystem. But in terms of a return on investment sort of play, it has to be altcoins. And I had significant exposure to Sol for starters, as well as AVAX, like you touched on, and Casper, which we will get to very shortly. But if you have a look at this Sol chart here, after the FTX sort of debacle last year, it absolutely dropped down here. And if you have a look at how significant that was, how oversold that was, and for the product and the utility that Solana had, I just couldn't believe sort of the exponential rate that it could have had. So for example, that's $8 and the heights of Solana,
like 260-ish.
So like your return of investment far exceeds something like that compared to BTC at 15K and it pumping to 70K, for example, to reach that all-time high. So Solana was one because of just, I also know how many NFT projects are working on there. I know how many developers are working on there for other tokens and other sort of use cases. It's gasless, it's fast. I'm trading on there at the moment compared to ETH because gas is just taking an enormous
gas wrecks you.
I
also find with Sol is that because like I've got some ADA just as a hedge, and I've tried to trade JPEGs on ADA. It is painful. You can't. It's not fun. It's not easy. And everyone that trades crypto is just like, oh, I like these bags. I'm like, bro, the people that you want in your ecosystem are degenerates that are actively trading, sweeping, buying stuff. That's what you want. And Solana has the tools to sweep. Like the Phantom wallet is just so great on the phone. Like it is
100%.
really good.
100%.
And at that point, you're going like anyone in any country, as if someone like you're going like not the rich countries, but once you kind of get like the Southeast Asias, once you get like the African nations, all of those countries that don't have as much money, they don't want to be spending a week's sort of worth of groceries on gas. They just 100%. Want to do it fast. And everyone's got a smartphone. Not everyone has a computer to trade on with MetaMask. That's just it. And like it made sense when you kind of start seeing that. But everyone goes like, oh, Solana's dead. I'm like, bro, if you actually use it, you understand it.
No, dude. Yeah, no, exactly. And if you like, and we'll get to the NFT side shortly as well. But no, 100%, man. And there's a lot of people that I have in my communities and that reach out to me. They don't have fat wallets. And like you said, if they're trying to pay for groceries each week, they can't afford to be trading on ETH where gas is just eating those sort of profits up, let's say.
It's straight nuts. It's like I've seen sort of Clemente's put up some posts where he's just like, I bought some NFTs, I've transferred them to another wallet and he spent like all this money. And our dollar is terrible compared to the US. So when a US guy's like, oh, I spent $50, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of, that's like ends up being a lot of money. But saying that, like we're getting like not near all-time highs, but we're getting really big highs because the US dollar is so like performing so much better than us. So the guys are seeing like fat gains, but we're seeing fatter gains when we convert it to our dollar, which is super sick. But the gas just absolutely eats it. Like when you look at, when you do a gas calculator and see how much you've spent on gas, it's kind of sad going, that should be in my pocket, not 100%. Someone else's pocket.
And that's why I'm so bullish on Sol and have been trading on Solana. Like it's just a narrative that it was so obvious like about 6 months ago, and it's even more obvious now as people start to really trade heavily on ETH, and that's why we see the increased gas for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So the next one, obviously Avalanche. So AVAX, again, same sort of chart setup. I realized at these lows that it was significantly undervalued when you consider it against sort of the other utility plays. AVAX in terms of NFTs, which we will have a look at. There's Hyperspace over on another tab, which we will look at. But for me, the AVAX is the gaming narrative. And because it is such an easy platform, similar to Solana, it's very low in cost. It's easy to work with. A lot of gaming companies are building on AVAX. I know for a fact that Elio Trades and Alex Becker have been shouting out AVAX too. And I was AVAX for months down here. So it's just fantastic that they saw a sort of the narrative that I had already alluded to probably a few months ago as well. But again, here, if you look at the chart, there's the exponential rate that this could even hit an all-time high. So at 23 to 140, that's like a 7x from these days. Like, and that's even if it doesn't take off due to other narratives like gaming and stuff like that. So that's one for sure I've had exposure to. Now, Casper, I discovered this yonks ago. So I'm going to say end of 2022. I was just sort of low. Let me get rid of all the trading stuff. I was discovering sort of low cap gems in the end of 2022 in the peak bear cycle. And I stumbled across this Casper token. And essentially, it's a competitor to Bitcoin. It has a faster block rate, faster transactions, and can move way faster. And they are developing it even quicker than it currently is. So I think it's sitting at over 3 billion, as a market cap. I got in at about 100 million, and I actually faded it way below 100 million as well. But again, you can see the strength in this chart. I wonder if I still have... No, I don't. But if I just quickly, what I like to look at as well, this is insight into my brain, is how things perform against their Bitcoin pair. Because that essentially is what we want to do, right? We want to outperform Bitcoin because it is the one that moves the market. And if you have a look at this chart here, this is what you want to see. You want to be in tokens that are outperforming Bitcoin. Solana's one, and Casper is definitely another one. So not only do I like the utility play of it, but the chart was really nice, and also it was significantly outperforming Bitcoin over the past couple of months. So that's
sweet.
If we go into the gaming side of things, so I'm super bullish on obviously Vulcan Forge. It spent a very long time accumulating. So that's, again, this is a sort of different chart that I like to see. I like to see tokens that have found the bottom a couple of times and that were accumulating and then did break out like this. So Link is another one that comes off the top of my head that had a accumulation phase of over a year, really, if you look at this date. So that was in May, and we broke out in October. So that's a year and a half, really. Another one in the gaming narrative is Immutable X. Again, my apologies, lots of stuff on the chart. Again, we've got a double bottom playing out here on the higher time frames. But again, same sort of chart to what we just saw in Vulcan Forge, is that it has this accumulation phase here, and now it's starting to break out. I'd love for it to retest and then go bang up to that breakout level, if not higher.
Yeah.
Again, it's the utility play around gaming and NFTs and that sort of side of things. Elio is all about Immutable X. And essentially now and this is what you got to go with. You got to go through, okay, if this is a narrative here, this IMX is within the top 100 altcoins already. So the sort of return of investment isn't going to be as good as something that has the same product, but is on a different blockchain. And so that is actually Beam. I don't have the chart, so let's just pull it up. Beam, BeamX. No, we want just a Bybit chart. So obviously there was token allocation initially here. It's, as you can see, it's very new. But what are you noticing about the chart? It's starting to grind up, okay? And if you take a deep dive into Beam, it's essentially on AVAX, and it's the Avalanche equivalent of Immutable X on ETH. So that's where I'm placing my bets. I obviously got in probably during this accumulation phase here. I didn't hear about it till about that stage. But that's where you got to translate, and that's how you can make those sort of extra dollars by using the narratives, but in a different way. So they're my main tokens. Obviously the Pepe actually broke out today. So if you have a look at this chart, which is crazy. Memes, you got to have exposure to memes. I have exposure to Dogecoin. Dogecoin has broken out as well if we zoom out and have a look. So Dogecoin and Pepe are starting to break out of their long-term accumulation and catch up to the rest of the market. So definitely have exposure to them, but they're this sort of top altcoins that I have. Just because return of investment, but also the utility and the amount of people using those particular products, I suppose. So that's where I'm looking chart-wise. In terms of NFTs, so this is Sniper. It's just one of the top sort of, and what could you call this, platforms that you can use to trade NFTs. And for me, we spoke about this earlier, but ETH NFTs ran last cycle. You saw Bored Apes go up to 500K. You saw Mutants go up to several 100K. And so for me, I realized, okay, ETH might have had its run last cycle. Don't get me wrong. You still have pudgies and stuff that are transforming the world in terms of NFTs, but you want to look elsewhere for the better opportunities, again, for return of investment. So if we were to consider that, I started deep diving into Sol NFTs probably a month or two ago, and they have gone up exponentially since that point. Obviously, we have Mad Lads is the premier collection. So I've been speaking pretty loudly on Twitter about how, in my opinion, Mad Lads are the next sort of Bored Ape Yacht Club, but they're on Solana and they're running hot. Like they've gone up over 100 Sol in literally the last 2 weeks. So that's a lot of money. And I'm been a big Bodogo community member for a long time. So it's great to see them running up to 10 Sol. I was accumulating them at like 1 and 2 Sols only a couple of weeks ago, not that long ago. Claynosaurus has fantastic utility. Rumor has it it's the Game of Thrones person who used to do a lot of animations and that sort of stuff as well. It's the Disney narrative. So again, you got to do your work. You got to deep dive. Okay, Bears has a bit of utility. So they dropped some stuff on Fortnite, but they're also dropping some merch and that sort of thing. So you want to find stuff that hasn't pumped yet, but also stuff that has good utility and has a business in a way to make sure that they can run up and that sort of thing. But yeah, Mad Lads, they airdrop because it's Solana and because it's easy to airdrop tokens to people. Mad Lads have airdropped the Pith airdrop a couple of weeks ago. So that was some free money there as well. So it's things like that you just want to chase that narrative sort of thing. Now, the AVAX, this is where I would then start to shift my mind. Okay, is there volume? Is there interest in AVAX NFT? So I did do a bit of research on this. Docio is the premier collection on them. But as you can see here, the market caps aren't very large. Like if we collaborate them all together, it's probably less than 10 mil altogether just for AVAX. They have a bit of volume, as you can see here, but nothing substantial enough to probably be worthwhile in terms of getting over there and trading. It's just something to keep an eye on to see if the trend does shift over there as well.
Looking at it, it's almost like one of those things where you have a look at it, what's kind of there once a week, take a mental note of prices, and then eventually it's like, okay, if it does get low enough, just maybe you kind of hedge and you bet just so that if for some reason it comes, because all it takes is an Alex Becker, Elio Trades to be like, hey, here's what I'm buying. You see a 10x straight away, like the Gary V phenomenon back in 2021, 2022. Gary buys something or says that he's buying something, it just rips. Like you just make some cash. Just print. And if people are looking at AVAX because it's getting hot, it just makes sense because there's going to be a team or someone out there that goes, hey, we could launch on ETH, but it's too hard to compete with that. We can try to do something on Sol, and they're like, but they've already some big projects on Sol. How can we stand it? How can we be the number one? Then you just go jump to something like AVAX, because you even see it with like you just other chains, other things. You've always got a blue chip project in every single chain and ecosystem, and that's you're gonna do well. Because like I know that Crypto Gorilla, he ended up, everyone hates sort of Cardano NFTs, and I currently hate them because my bags are down bad, but it's like he made some bags trading those, because if you get in on some good stuff and there's hype, people pile their money in, and that's where you can see some crazy upsides. What are you kind of looking at with going back to the Sol NFTs, because I know you're kind of looking at there. What are you thinking? Are you kind of drawing parallels with what? Obviously, it's too hard to be like, cool, if Mad Lad's going to a $500,000 floor, but you then go, cool, if Bored Apes can get to a $500,000 floor, Mutants can get to like a couple $100,000 floor, then does that leave you a lot of upside with some of these Sol things? Like, where do you see those going? And like, like that. Yeah. What's your kind of thought process?
So yeah, the Mad Lads play is like we just spoke about. You have that Premier collection on Solana, and everyone wants to have exposure to that. And you can see this here, like the strength in the community is crazy. Like it's 400 listed out of 10K. I think the it's definitely in the 30s. It could be 40% ownership, which is fantastic. It has, it literally had more volume than Bored Ape Yacht Club last week, I think it was as well. So it's things like that brings, like you say, interest and eyes to the ecosystem and to Sol NFT. So obviously I'm a big believer in the Bodoggos. If you know anything about the Nifty Portal team, like they are the premier or one of the premier media personalities in crypto. So like it's a no-brainer for me. Like Nick, for example, has so many quality connections in this space, and it's just like it's silly not to bet on them. And 100%. I was betting on them for a long time. Claynosaurus, like I spoke about before, has that narrative of being that Disney animation theme, potential movies or potential games, whatever the way that it goes about it. So that's definitely one I've got my eyes on. But then you do start to dive down deep. So Tennosaurians, they actually pumped like 3x, I'm pretty sure, last week because they have their own platform and the Tensor platform, and essentially they are going to have an airdrop too. So the Sol Casino, so the Gamblefly sort of narrative is a big one as well. Then you have your sort of foxes, and there's also frogs, I think, from memory. Oh no, geckos, my apologies to the gecko community, but geckos and stuff on Sol that are your sort of historical narratives that could run on there. So you just got to do your homework. You got to dive down deep. My Alpha group here, we're talking about McColony just yesterday and a couple of days before, and they pumped up, as you can see here, insane amount of volume. But essentially, that's a game that's being played on Solana as well. Obviously, the Heist ran quite a lot recently, about a month or two ago, because they had a sick narrative / a sick game that was being employed. This is one I haven't touched on today, but the Solana name service now.
Yeah, I've seen you accumulating some digits. Getting on those digits.
Yeah, exactly. So I got into these, like it's a no-brainer play, particularly because it's, again, Solana's gasless. People are starting ETH maxis. I'm in a lot of good group chats with ETH maxis, and they are starting to translate over to Sol. So I saw these about a week or two ago at 2.5 Sol. They're already back up to, or not back up, they're already pumped to 4.5. So these are a no-brainer in my opinion. You can head to this website here and look at the categories. And the reason I went with digits is because, as you can see here, they're the highly most traded sort of NFT in this collection. As you can see over here, the largest sales are your 3 digits. They're always going to be the premier sort of numbers. But if for the people that want sort of easier exposure to this, you can definitely get in the 10K club. So
exactly.
Yeah. So as you can see here, they're also trending on Sniper. Let me go back over here. So yeah, they're 25th trending because there is interest there, but you can buy it over on there as well. So yeah, it's all about deep diving. Aurora has a game again. So it's things like that you just need to deep dive into and then work out, okay, what hasn't pumped and what has the potential to pump. As we start to see more liquidity enter, it's going to be the mints that are probably where you actually want to maybe play your bets as well.
Yeah, so that's 100%.
So, and then the last narrative, which I did speak about earlier, is obviously the gaming token. So I often visit this page here. That's just on CoinMarketCap, top gaming tokens. And if you actually have a look, like, yeah, we're trending upwards. Like, look at that chart as total market cap, and it's only at 18.
Exactly.
Like, this could be hundreds and hundreds. If you think about gaming, you look at Fortnite, for example. Like, gaming entertainment is the largest by far compared to music, podcast, and movies, entertainment.
Well, even like you look at like what the GTA trailer came. That's all the timeline is. That's all the timeline is.
Exactly. And so why not place your bets if you're in crypto and Web3 around that narrative, right? If you just see what the Web2 world treats it like. So again, these are all sort of older tokens. So we spoke about Immutable X earlier. That's one that I definitely have exposure to. Render's a very interesting play. It's on Solana as well. So that's definitely one you want to check out. But then as you start to go down, like I was a big believer in Gala, but then they had a bit of FUD a couple of months back, and change of ownership. They have a large amount of token supply, so I'm actually been avoiding. So as you can see here, it only has 52% circling. So that's something that I do like to look at, just to see whether people can still dump the token, sort of thing. The ApeCoin narrative, the Yuga narrative, like as someone who loves Web3, I hope they do well. it's just not where I'm placing my bets in the next coming months. I just don't think so. Beam, we spoke about it earlier. As you can see here, it's just been on an absolute tear. $38 in the last 38%. Sorry, in the last 7 days alone. So that's definitely one. Illuvium, big game potential. They're actually Australian brand and Australian company, so that's great to see. But as you start to go down the list, these are some of the ones that I've had exposure to. So obviously Vulcan Forge, Magic, I spoke about earlier. Echelon Prime has done an insane tear. I think I got in at like $2. So again, this one actually has a game that's being used, and that the Twitter people are using, and that people actually are playing every single day. So it's things like that you want to have the utility, but also the hype, let's call it, around the token and that sort of thing as well. Cedarfire, you would see Alex Becker and stuff talk about that all the time. That's essentially a launch pad. So if you want access to early tokens, early games, that's where your Cedarfire would be. And then you start to get into some other tokens that are owned. So Nakamoto Games, Wilder Worlds is some of the other ones. And then we start hitting those degen sort of areas. So, but again, you want to be looking down here, because you never know, the next Vulcan Forge could be way down here at 10 million already. So it's things like that essentially I do look for every single day.
No, 100% looks good, looks sweet.
And that's the video, guys. I hope you found that super informative around current market trends and where we think we are seeing the crypto market head in the next couple of months. Be sure to comment down below, smash that like button, helps me grow. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe down below as well. I'm dropping daily crypto videos, so make sure you stay up to date by hitting that subscribe bell as well to get those notifications. Don't forget, I'm running a private alpha group sale, so please hit me up in DMs via Twitter if that's something that you are interested in. As always, take care, and I'll see you again soon.